All right, we are live. We're looking at the last 48 hours of solar activity here at 193 angstroms. We're going to give about 2 minutes of lead time, and I will be right back. That's less than 2 minutes now, folks. The countdown is already on. All right. So there it is at 193 angstroms. Here's just today. We're looking at about 8 hours. Sunspot 2740 degrades. And 2741 remains stable. Got some more custom views here of the last 8 hours and 15 minutes. We'll look at 304 angstroms. So there's that. Chaotic filaments around the limbs there. Nothing really to be concerned about. Before we move on, I'm gonna do a meteorology section here. And before that, though, I'm going to show you the new studio. So check it out. We're going ultra high end here. And turn it off the screen share and turn it on the camera. So check it out. It's like Shangri-La in here now, folks. Now, when you see the camera on, you'll see this nice dark background. And I probably won't usually be dressed like such a weirdo. Anyway, back to screen share. Now that you've seen our multi-billion-dollar studio here, pardon the sarcasm. Anyway, we see actually very low solar activity despite sunspots. Again, here's the last 48 hours. Let's look at magnetic lines at 94 angstroms. Man, that's small. All right, there we go. And there are the magnetic lines. And it looks like some open lines here toward the North Pole. If you know what that means, cheers. All right, those views always take up a tab there. Network your neighborhood and maybe inform them of how to follow the weather. So let's do a little tutorial here real quick. So take your mobile device, head to AccuWeather.com, click on the little ellipsis up here on your browser, and click on desktop mode, right? Because you want to view this in desktop mode. There are severe limitations to the mobile version of this site. Then you want to go to the weather map on their home page right here and click on more maps. It's going to show you the radar. If you want the national radar, click play. And then save this right onto your desktop. Different browsers have different ways to save these. Put it in your favorites, however you access your web favorites. Then zoom in on your area. Now I'm going to just show you my area, how to do this. When you zoom in on your area, take whatever zooms you want. I only use the local, which for me is Pennsylvania. I don't zoom in farther than this because it switches to a different type of radar array. So save the played maps of your local area and then zoom out to the next, like, regional area, you would call it. And then save that favorite also, because sometimes the systems are, a little more complicated than that. And then if you want the visible satellite, which I like to sometimes know when it's going to be sunny and so on, you just head to satellites here, hit play again, get the animation. Now this is actually a composite type of an image here. This is an enhanced. This includes a shortwave radiation map as well as the visible if it's daytime. So save that one also. And then you'll also want to have the satellite view of the water vapor. And just go to colored water vapor, get that image and save that one also after hitting play, because again, you want the animation. Save that URL or whatever. And it looks like the rain is going to miss us today, actually, where I'm located here in the Lehigh Valley. It stopped raining, and we're going to see a dry air over the entire region here. Central and eastern PA should be avoiding the rain through most of the day today. And if that conflicts with you, AccuWeather, well, for that we apologize, but I'm the kind of guy that predicts the weather on both sides of the mountain. So cheers. Anyway, let's move on. Thinking of buying a bike, head to fellowshop.net. Also support the other links. Thank you, our latest donors here to the cycling campaign. We're gonna provide some accounting there shortly on the page. Follow us on Instagram if you'd like to see some more background stuff. And every little bit counts, folks. So we appreciate the support. Also check us out on Patreon. There's smAsho.org. And here's the mission. It's to assist, study, and report the ongoing formation of unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space, weather, and Earth effects, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems, that is, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt no matter what the adversity is, and to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. Also to study wildlife in various forms and to get people to pause our videos at certain spots and take screenshots and then post them on their social media, giving appropriate credit to the creator of the memes. We see a suddenly dipping BZ right here as the solar wind speed has just increased, as well as the density. Looks like a CME hit, as we've had a series of those from the flares associated with those sunspots. So there's another CME hit occurring right during the live stream. How do you like them apples? Next, we're going to look at spaceweather.com. Always make sure you refresh your pages, folks. Anyway, we see an animation here of a CME. We talked about this yesterday in the live stream and the day before, as we saw it right as it occurred. You'll see this ripple slightly north of the equator, right in this region right here. Let that play through, and nice job, spaceweather.com, putting up the animation. Anyway, you can see that there. Also, they got information about sprites. I forget what the 10.7 centimeter radio flux is. I think it is 76 right now. So It's been kind of stagnating at 76, still well above predicted values. How about a little spaceweathernews.com? We apologize if it's too controversial, folks. Is it too controversial? Too controversial. So we saw a small mid B class X-ray flare there around midnight Universal time. Otherwise, not a whole lot going on. We did see a KP0 through part of the day yesterday, and the magnetometer has smoothed out. Well, I got news for you. It's going to unsmooth out because, well, there's a solar wind hitting right now. Actually, it's a coronal mass ejection and a bit of an electron storm also. So this is probably going to dip down once again, as that coronal mass ejection is going to be made up primarily of protons. Got some charging hazards based on those very high electron flux levels. And the F2 layer is looking discharged. Very discharged on the day and nighttime sides, as I'm sure the magnetosphere movies will reflect. We see some electron rate charging right there. I'm sure the electron movies will show it. Auroras are weak, as solar activity is too. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Going to look at the Enlil spiral, as we have two more coronal mass ejections that are on the way currently, folks. One is predicted to hit on the 15th, and one is predicted to hit on the 17th. And both are expected to cause low-level storms. KP 4 or 5 is what the predictions are for. None of these look like they're quite perfectly Earth hitting. And we see some interesting interactions appear to be going on there between the leading bit of plasma, and there's a lot of push me pull you going on when this plasma interacts with each other. It comes out of the sun at different speeds, and it does some weird stuff out there. So no real need to look at anything else on here. Let's just move on, as we want to keep these videos as short as possible. Here's the electron flux. This is the total electron content forecast. So keep in mind, it's a model. It's based on a lot of measurements. We're not going to get into that. And we see much higher levels than we saw yesterday and the past week. Also, we see higher electron flux levels at the greater than 2 and greater than 10 mega electron volt levels. We won't get into that either. Here's the Gong 2. And we see we're in a pretty stable field mode here. Keep in mind, the activity of those sunspots could kick up and cause a sudden current sheet boundary crossing here, polarity crossing at any moment. And that would cause further perturbations in the magnetometer and could cause a little higher KP index too. So we're not going to check out the coronagraphs here. If you want to, check out solarham.net. A lot of information there. Both of these sunspots are now alpha class. So not a lot going on. In fact, that one is degrading further, as we see the umbra has split, but not into any opposing fields. Here's 2740. And still a significant sunspot, but still in a degrading mode. Here's where stuff is. And you're probably having a hard time seeing Uranus right now. So in any case, Earth's creeping up on gas giants. Here's where stuff will be in 7 days. Next, we're going to take a gander at the space weather beacon here. I always reload this for a reason, and it's because we want to make sure it's always refreshed. I was not aware that I could full screen it in that manner. That's good. And here's the most recent stuff. And there was another coronal mass ejection, folks. Let me get the slider in view here. That one looks like it's extremely southward facing. It looks like there's a small component trapped on the interplanetary magnetic field there. Right around this area, you can see a little bit of plasma, but it's very not Earth facing also. Very not Earth facing. Very far south. And pretty sure the coronal graph will agree. I'm not going to analyze it or overanalyze it because it's not very big anyway. Here's a star chart. And you're on the wrong day here. We're on the 11th. Welcome to Monday, folks. Feel free to watch our economics video that we did yesterday morning. I like to draw the ecliptic. Man, that's small, huh? All right, there we go. Now it's readable. There you go. Jupiter and Saturn should be up there on the ecliptic if you're up before dawn. Have a gander. Next, we'll look at magnetosphere movies, as we do most days. Maybe I should compress this section into 3, where I have... Do they synchronize? That's as small as we can make it. All right. Anyway, there's a velocity. And we're talking about protons. Here's a density. And we do expect to see quite a low pressure environment here, although in the last couple hours, it's going to kick back up. So right at the end, and there's the pressure. The pressure is going to increase right in the very last frames of the movie, folks. So if you want to see things changing throughout the day, watch the F2 ionosphere layer. You can see that one on spaceweathernews.com. That's from some Australian government site. I'm not sure which one. Next, we're going to look at ground perturbations, as we do most days. Shout out Jeff Brindley. Here are the magnetic perturbations over the poles. Speaking of poles, if you want to be shafted, assume you'll make money on YouTube. Because you won't, except through donations and affiliate ads. Anyway, we see a Birkeland current coming out of the South Pole, as we do most days when there are perturbations. Whoops, that was the wrong key, folks. All right, here's the global perturbations. I would note that the South Pole is migrating into the Indian Ocean, and that we have a North Pole over northern Canada, as well as a North Pole over Siberia. If you weren't aware, read up on it. It's true. It's true, to quote Kurt Angle. Let's look at cosmic rays. We're just going to look at Oulu. To shorten this down a little bit, there are links to the cosmic ray compilation site there. So there's Oulu. Here's DOMC Antarctica and DOMB Antarctica. Nothing to write home about there. Oh, screw it. Let's look at Athens too. Oh, they got some anomalous data there. That is most certainly not legit data. Did you have a power outage, Athens? Let's look at earthquakes and figure it out. Also follow us on Facebook. Facebook will censor and ban and do all things like that. They'll shadow ban you. They have a political agenda. And they're already screwing over their shareholders with their algorithms. Probably fraud. Also check us out on Twitter, which will also censor you and me. But you could certainly share our videos with your tweeting pals via twitter.com/smAsho. Also check us out on Minds, the social media that won't censor you and is open source. So you could create your own social media using theirs, as long as you release the code. Also, if you enjoy the music that we currently aren't playing, check out the Golden Cap Productions page on SoundCloud. There's the link. And links are in the description under this video also. You can also find more tracks at soundclick.com/goldencapproductions. Let's move on to actual data here instead of advertising. Earthquake rundown. We see a 5.4 in the Philippines. We are looking at 24 hours, folks. This one happened just after our broadcast yesterday. After our 2 broadcasts yesterday. Here's a 4.7 in the Philippines also. We've been seeing a massive uptick there. Both those quakes at the surface. Here we see a 4.4 in Iran. And by the way, I'm going to tell you what's in the coffee. If you think I'm amped, you ain't seen nothing yet. How about a 5.1 in the Solomon Islands? None at depth until this one. 4.4 in Bolivia at 187 kilometers. 4.4 Pakistan. 6.1 Costa Rica. Shout out Costa Rica. Hope everybody's okay there. Building codes are probably not the best. Looks like it was on land. And let's just check tsunami.gov, as you can have a land-based tsunami in theory. That should all be fine. What do we see there? A 7.1. Oh, that's old. Okay. All right. Also, we see a 5.0 in Solomon Islands. 4.8 at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. 4.8 Papua New Guinea. 4.6 at Chile at depth. Heads up South America. You're getting deep quakes. Watch out for low pressure systems. Solar activity is waning once again due to those sunspots setting. And when coronal holes start popping up, which they likely will at solar minimum, which is where we currently are when we see this 4.2 in Mexico. And at solar minimum, earthquakes and volcanoes tend to uptick. Check this one out. 5.4 at a very north location. Check it out. I guess I can't zoom out on the shake map. Looks like it's on an island chain there in the Arctic Ocean. Ah, yes, the Arctic Ocean, one of the Earth's oddities. Anyway, a 5.4 at a very far north location. Here we see a 4.5 Costa Rica. So another quake there. It's like an aftershock. 5.1 in New Zealand. Shout out New Zealand viewers. Did you feel that one? Looks like it was quite a bit north of the island. 4.5 at Japan. We've seen an uptick there recently. 4.7 at Papua New Guinea. We've seen an uptick there for months. There's a deep quake at Alaska, quite far inland. 4.5 at the Philippines. At depth. Watch out for low pressure zones. There are coronal holes on the way, I would wager. .5 at Japan and a 5.2 at Peru. Here are pressure maps. We'll let this play real quick as we are trying to get out of here as quickly as possible. There's still more stuff to cover. All right. Here's a volcano rundown. We're going to blast through it. Karimsky with an 11,000 foot plume, uptick there. Shivaluch, satellite imagery obscuring the volcano. Sakurajima, 9,000 foot plume there. Mount Ibu, 7,000 foot plume there. Dakono, same deal. Don't pole vault over it. Mount Agung, explosive activity continues. That thing is scary as hell. 18,000 foot ash plume. Revenador, ongoing emissions. Sabancaya, not identifiable from satellite data. But continuous water vapor emissions, a sign of an explosion impending. Heads up Peru, Sabancaya. Continuous water vapor emissions. Super sketchy. Super sketchy. Here's a US Doppler. We'll let that play for you. Nothing too exciting going on for once. Thank goodness the south central US is getting a break. Although, put on your wetsuits there down at Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, because it looks like there's some heavy surf in the Gulf of Mexico. So hit it if you got the winds blowing the right direction. There's the lightning. Don't get struck by any. Lightningmaps.org will show you the real deal in the real time. Kind of like our channel. And we'll look at the water vapor map real quick. If you want to look this one up, folks, it's the NASA GOES interactive weather satellites. There are a bunch of them, a bunch of different great instruments. And for that, NASA, we thank you. We don't think space is fake, NASA. We don't think space is fake. So cheers. Here's a shortwave view. Moving on. Weather.gov. There are your alerts. See some winds. And we see some, what is that? Special weather statement. What's up with that? Special weather statement. I did not click on any of that stuff. Wow. Okay. Hazardous weather outlooks. Can I get the statement? Heavy rain with flooding and flash flooding potential early morning through Monday evening. Geez. Okay, I thought you were getting a rest, but apparently not. Anyway, lots of flood warnings in various counties around the Mississippi especially, as well as some flood advisories in Jersey and Delaware. Heads up. Shout out US viewers. Shout out all viewers. Shout out to ignorance. Did you know that some of our elected officials don't even understand what the Federal Reserve is or does? Isn't that pathetic? That's not just ignorant. That's just plain stupid. Anyway, help us free the oppressed, folks. From lies such as the Arctic is melting. Here it is on May 12th, 2019. Boy, that looks so melted, doesn't it? That's 4.5 meters of ice right there. See that, folks? It's 4.5 meters of ice. The Northwest Passage still has 2 meters of ice through most of it. There it is. Must be global warming. Let's look at more views of the sun. How about 9 hours worth? We're going to look at, guess what? 171 angstroms. And this song is a little bit too weird to be playing. Hang on one moment. I'm going to open up the chat.
I woke up underneath the rooster. It wasn't making noise because I get up at the crack of dawn every day. You gotta ask yourself, how come you're milking that shit? Because I ain't got nothing that's legitimate. I'm not filling out my W-2 because I ain't paying no fucking money to you, cause motherfuckers is turning me up like a buttercup.
That was not a rehearsed song, folks. That was not a rehearsed song. Anyway, here we see some fantastic views of sunspot 2740 as it degrades, and 2741 as it also degrades a little bit. Earth facing quiet effect turning on. Let me break out the chat here. Thanks for joining us, Manuela and Krellboyne and Harry, and as always, smAsho staff, for all of your hard work. So yeah, we see an earthquake uptick, and solar activity's dropping. So yeah. Yes, Harry, that song was not PC. I don't know what the hell it was about, for that matter. I mean, part of the reason that wasn't the one that mentions a turban. There's one that mentions a turban too, because the guy that was playing drums is half Syrian. Yeah. That's my best friend. Shout out Dr. Samir Afif. Holla. That's not Arabic. I'm saying holla, like holler. That's no kind of gang slang, folks. Let's go back to 193 angstroms here. In fact, wait a minute. Let's look at a view we don't usually look at, 211. Because what we're concerned with now is coronal holes. And there is one trailing associated with the north solar polar field here. And this isn't that holy right here. I mean, this is pretty holy just north of the sunspot. Keep in mind this view shows a little bit sort of exaggerated detail on coronal holes. So anyway, solar activity is dropping after these coronal mass ejections hit. Unless we see some sunspots on the far side, at least we don't see any giant coronal holes coming through. I would also note that the North Pole coronal hole has grown back up again. This thing is been very asymmetrical. And now the South Pole's looking asymmetrical also. So that's something else to keep an eye on. Let's talk ions and go back to 94 angstroms, as this will show us the most detail of any view we're going to look at today on this video. Anyway, keep an eye on the poles, folks. That's where the action's going to be, as well as the possibility of coronal holes. Let's zoom in way in on these sunspots to max out your data. You're condensed matter, folks. You're made of condensed matter. Congratulations. You're just like the sun. You're made of condensed matter. Anyway, we are out of here, as it is late. Krellborn Kip. If you want to find a decent carbon fiber bike for under $2,000, head to theveloshop.net. And if you don't want to buy it directly from there, at least you'll give them some web traffic. Tell them I sent you. Give them a call. Give Becky a call. Whatever. And yeah, tell her I sent you. She knows me on a first name basis as I stop in the shop weekly. Most weeks. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks. We are outie. So remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.